looks like another beautiful day in Richmond. The sun is shining and the birds are singing. So make sure you get out there today and say hi to your neighbor.
May you have auspiciousness and causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May you take no effort in your being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating in your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa! May the road less paved be the road that you follow. Oh, well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. I want you to have it all. A slap bracelet. May you keep the chaos and the clutter off your desk. May you have unquestionable health and less stress. Having no possessions though immeasurable wealth. May you get a gold star on your next test. May your educated guesses always be correct.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited that you all are here. Oh my goodness, who do we have here? Christina, Tamiera, Alicia, Michael, Anjana, Sonia, Sade. I don't think I can say everyone's names. Robin, Yash, Eric, Jay, JW. Woohoo! Welcome. Tracy, you're excited to be here. I'm super excited that you're here. Thank you so much. And I think I saw a couple of comments of people asking about, or some people saying, commenting about the music. It is Jason Mraz. And the name of the song is Have It All. And it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite songs because it always gets me all jazzed up and ready to go. So, and we're gonna be hearing it again tomorrow because it's one of my favorite songs. So I love it. So again, welcome. I am very happy that you all are here. And we're gonna get started first with some housekeeping items, some introductions, and I'm going to ask you to do some intentions for the next 3 days. As you know, we're going to be together for about an hour a day for the next 3 days, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I really want you to pat yourself in the back because I know how busy we are. I know that everyone has either a job, a business to take care of, a family to spend time with, so taking this time, I know that it might be challenging for some people, so really pat yourself in the back because when you invest in your growth, when you invest in your personal development, it always comes back to you multiplied. So I'm going to start sharing my screen right now. Before we get started, there we go. And let me get back to my Zoom. That's not where I want to go. Why do I always have a challenge with these? Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. So if you guys can see my screen, let me know because I think it's projecting well, but if not, let me know. Anyway, so as I was saying, when you invest in your personal growth, when you invest in your development, it's an investment that always comes up multiplied, whether that's reading a book, attending a workshop, attending a seminar, doing courses, it's always going to come back multiplied. And it's always an effort that I want you to take some time and acknowledge that you're taking the time to do these. So let's just get started. The workshop is going to be transformational, but only if you want it to be, because there is a lot of information that we're going to be talking about. I hope that you brought a pen and paper to take notes. If not, take digital notes, whatever you want, but you're going to get access to the replays every day. So tomorrow you're going to get today's replay. The next day you're going to get tomorrow's replay, and etc. The replays are going to be up and available for you for 7 days. And after that, we take them down. So take advantage of that. watch them, take notes. You can email me and ask me questions if there's anything that comes up after the workshop. But every day I'm going to carve some time for you to ask, and we're going to have some time for you to interact in the chat and ask questions there as well. You all should have gotten a worksheet, so we're going to be using that later, and that's when we're going to get our hands dirty and in the clay, and starting to get into the work of shaping ourselves and our relationship with money. So let's just start with housekeeping items right now. First of all, be open-minded. So a lot of you might have heard this stuff before. This is not something that is new. This is not something that I invented. This is something that has tremendously transformed my life, and I'm giving you my perspective of it, and I'm giving you what has worked for me. However, this information isn't new. So still, come here with an open-minded, child's play, learning type of attitude, and you're going to get the most of it that way. Second, keep your camera on if you can. I know that a lot of us can't do that because we might be at work or we might be in a setting that it doesn't allow to do it. But if you can, keep it on and interact. Be respectful, be compassionate, be nice to other people, be kind. This is a space of love and respect. And third and last, have fun. So we tend to take ourselves super seriously, especially when it comes to money and abundance, and we think that we have to, be super polite and formal about it. But honestly, one of the things that has worked for me the most is to be playful, to have fun with it. And one of my mottos is the more I play, the more I make. So keep it to yourself to, bring that attitude of lightness, of child play, of open-mindedness, and just be respectful with others. Oh my goodness, my Spanish is coming up and tripping me up in my English. Okay, so let's just go with some introductions. So why are we here? And I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to ask you to tell me a bit about yourself as well, so that we get to know each other. So my name is Isabel. I think that you all have gotten my lovely emails and reminders of the workshop, so you know about me a little bit. But I'm going to tell you why I came to teach about abundance and money and wealth consciousness. So I grew up in South America, in Colombia. So if any of you here are Spanish, woohoo, hello, hello. I moved to Canada. I live in Canada, in Ottawa, Ontario. I moved to Canada 22 years ago. But the reason why I started to teach wealth consciousness is because in my upbringing in Colombia, I learned all the shitty things that are not conducive to have wealth and money in my life. So some of the things were like, you gotta work hard for money. Money is for people who were born into it, not for people like us. You can't afford that. I learned very early on, and I'm going to give you more personal examples as we get into the workshop, but I learned early on that I cannot have what I want. I cannot ask for what I want because that creates conflict. So I learned to be very quiet about my desires, kept my mouth shut because I knew that was going to create conflict between my parents, and I didn't want to do that. So as I grew, I got very interested in the world of spirituality, and I started to get into spirituality mostly because I was very curious about the mind-body connection. I started to read books very early on in life. I don't know if any of you have heard about the Silva method of mind control. I was probably one of the youngest people in the audience when the workshops came to Colombia. So I got started into meditation and remote viewing and things, all that woo-woo stuff that is a little bit more mainstream now. I was doing that when I was 13. So I was like that weird kid, kind of like talking about meditation and all that weird shit. So as I started to learn more about it, I started to realize that I had more power of influence over absolutely everything in my life. And I decided that I wanted to change my money paradigm, mostly because, as I said earlier, I didn't grow up with it. I saw my parents working super hard for money, leaving the house in the morning at 6, 7 a.m. and coming back at 8 p.m., super tired, exhausted, with zero energy to spend with the family. And I decided that that wasn't the life that I wanted. And it's funny, as I say that, I can feel that I get choked up and emotional thinking about those days. But that's one of the reasons why I decided, fuck my life, that's not going to be me. I need to change this. And I started to study everything that I could about manifestation, creating money, living a life of bliss, living a life of joy. And in all my years of studying, one of my resolutions was that I wanted to have an incredible life, and I wanted to have an extraordinary happiness in my life. And that's the way that I live right now. Clearly, I'm human and I have my shitty days because we all do, but my mindset is strong enough that I know how to look at life and I know how to shift my perspective. And that's exactly what I teach my clients and what I teach other people to do. So that's who I am. That's why we're here. So now I want to turn it to you, and please let me know a couple of things. First, where are you from? And I think a few people were already putting in the chat where they're coming from. I saw some from Ontario and other places. Let me know what kind of business you have, because most of us, if not all, are entrepreneurs. And let me know how long have you had that business for. And then I'm gonna take a look. Let me open the chat and see who's commenting. All right, Flint, Michigan, coaching and consulting has been 7 years. Awesome, Precious. Windsor, Ontario, another Canadian, good. Realtor, 3 weeks. Oh my goodness, you're new into these. Christina, I have a coach who always says that starting a business is like having your own spiritual awakening, and I totally agree with that. Online fitness coach, I love that, 2.5 years. Manitoba. Flynn, oh, right. Salt Lake City, Utah. I've always wanted to go there. I've never been. California, yoga business, health and wellness, 6 years. Photographer, 5 years. Awesome. Chicago area, love Chicago. Speech pathology, private practice, 3 months. Awesome. Adolescent counseling, 6 months. Oh my goodness. Richmond, Virginia. Salt Lake City. Jamaica. Oh, you live in Fort Lauderdale. Awesome. Grief coach. That is beautiful. Financial coach for 2 years in Toronto. I just moved from Toronto actually to Ottawa. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Another Californian. Okay, Las Vegas. Makeup artist, 3 years. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for that. That gives me a pretty good idea of who you are, where you're coming from. Kimberly, currently living in Bay Area, California. I love California. I work in HR by day and I write at night. Oh, getting picked up by a network writing for film and TV. That is amazing, Kimberly. I actually just signed my first book deal, and my first book is coming up in September. So I'm super excited about that. So I know exactly how you feel. Raised in the Philippines, amazing. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. So ladies and gents, what we're going to do right now is we're going to set intentions. I want to remind you that we're going to be spending a lot of time together. This is a sacred space for us to talk about vulnerabilities in the wealth consciousness field. You're going to have a lot of breakthroughs and aha moments. So I want you to close your eyes for just a couple of minutes, and Jackie's going to play some music. Let me just stop sharing so that she can share some music. And I want you to close your eyes and set an intention for the next 3 days. So that could be anything that you want out of these 3 days. Just consider that we're going to be talking about wealth consciousness. So is it to have breakthroughs? Is it to learn something new? Is it to get very real with yourself and know the direction that you're taking your business to? Whatever it is, just close your eyes for a second, think about what that intention is, and then share it with us in the chat. All right. So Christina says sell 5 to 6 houses in my first year. Amazing. That's good. Excited to learn and kickstart my future business owner journey to manifest security for my future family. Cognitively aware. Precious, you're going to get tired of me saying that word. Awareness is key, and you're going to hear that word 1,000 times in the next 3 days. To clear out the gunk in my mind, holding me back, and create fuel to move forward freely in my business. Amazing, Emily. Make more money. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, and keep them coming. I mean, I'm going to be sharing my slides, and honestly, guys, the only one reason why I have slides is because I can talk my head off, and the slides keep me on track so that we're not here till like 3 hours later. I want to be very respectful of your time, but I'm Hispanic, so I talk a lot, and the slides keep me on track. So let me start sharing my screen again, and don't be shy to continue to share in the chat. All right, so now that we have introductions and intentions set, let's just keep going. I want to ask you something, and I want you to really put your hand on your heart and answer this question. If you had the option, would you rather have someone hand you a pile of money, or would you rather learn a life-changing skill where you're going to learn to manifest a pile of money over and over and over again? And there's no right or wrong answer to these. Any answer is valid. But what I'm here to tell you is that the difference between a sustainable business model or not is how you view that pile of money that is going to be handed to you, right? Because you can learn to manifest that amount of money over and over and over again, regardless of the action that you're taking. And this is what a lot of people tend to get caught up in when they start a new business, right? And you can all tell me if I'm lying, but I mean, when I started my business, I wanted to know every piece of strategy that every successful person was doing. So using social media as a platform, using Facebook, Instagram, and all of the things, and you have to be live X number of times a week. You have to email your list X number of times a week. You gotta be doing this, you gotta be posting, you gotta be promoting, you gotta be collaborating, you gotta be doing. That's what we're all taught, right? And if any of you has worked with a business coach in the past, you know that they're all very focused on strategy. But now, don't get me wrong, strategy is great, right? Strategy is what gets the forward action going. However, it is your energy that is going to determine your results. You can have the most amazing strategy, and if you think about it, you think about 2 different businesses, they're doing exactly the same things. One of them is successful and the other one isn't. Why? It is the energy that you're leading your business with that is going to determine the results, and not the action that you're taking. Action is going to be a result of your energy leading in the right direction. Action is going to be joyful because you're following that intuition, you're following that bliss that is going to get you to where you want. But it is a result of aligning your energy in the right way in your business, not the other way around. So attracting money in your business does not have to be difficult. And this is a huge misconception that a lot of people in the manifestation woo-woo spiritual world have. Like, you have to do rituals, and you have to visualize, and you have to meditate, and you have to do all those things. But all those things are just tools to help you lead with your energy. And that's something that I want you to get out of these 3 days. It's leading with your energy that is going to get you there. I can teach you some tools, we can go over some things that you can do, but it's ultimately up to you to carve out your energy, mold it in a way that is going to work for you, sustain that energy, practice it, and learn to recreate that energy almost on command that is going to get you the results. So what we're going to be doing in the next 3 weeks is we're going to understand your relationship with money, especially today. Today, we're going to gain a lot of clarity as to how you're behaving with money. I always call it a relationship because it is. It's like the way that you perceive money and the way that money reacts to that perception that you have of it, that is going to determine the results that you see. So when you can ultimately shift the relationship that we have with money, that's when it's going to come to you. So first, we have to gain clarity. We have to become very aware of what that relationship is so that we can shift it, we can pivot, and ultimately we're going to get the result that we want. So as a new entrepreneur, this is where your abundance journey starts. It is in your awareness of that relationship with money. So let's just have fun with this, right? You all told me a couple of minutes ago where you're from. So comment in the chat, if you want to get to New York, which way do you have to go? North, south, east, west, southwest, northeast, whatever that is. So I'm in Ottawa. If I want to go to New York, I have to go southwest. So if you need to go to New York, which direction do you have to go? Okay, north, east, east, north, 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 northeast, yada, yada. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. East, north, all right. Actually, in the last couple of workshops that we've had, I've always, across the water, Said, where are you? In the last couple of workshops that we've done, I always had the example of California, and there were so many people from California that I'm like, damn, I need to find another city. So New York was the one that I came up with this time. Okay, so everyone's at a different place in the relationship with abundance, right? So everyone is starting at a different spot when they want to get to their ultimate results or their ultimate goals. So if you look at at all the answers in the chat, everyone has a different direction, right? So even though the ultimate goal is to expand your wealth consciousness, if you don't understand where you are currently, if you don't understand the relationship that you have with money, it's going to be more challenging to move in that direction, right? It's like if you are blindly placed in the world and have no idea where you are in relationship to New York, it's going to be way more challenging to get there. So when you get to deeply and intimately know where you are in your relationship with money, you gain a sense of direction and that's going to make the journey way easier for you. So when you develop that acute awareness of how you relate to money, it is going to give you the best insight about where you are so you can keep moving in the direction that you want. And we're going to do a couple of exercises today that is going to bring a lot of clarity and awareness for you as to where you are. So the line might not be straight, but when you develop that awareness, you can see that the path is way easier for you. And that's going to also give you a lot more clarity as to who you are. And the more that you get to know who you really are in relationship to where you want to go, the line is going to be way easier to navigate. So it is going to be crucial to get to know yourself intimately so that you can shift any area of your life, including your finances. You think about it, your personality. So all these sets of beliefs that you've accumulated throughout your life is the one that determines your reality. So when you're able to know that personality at a very intimate level, you're able to shift it, to craft it, and ultimately embody that person that you want to be, the wealthy version of yourself, the wealthy woman, the wealthy man that is going to open up the path to more flow of abundance in your life. Let me know if that makes sense in the chat. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and we'll go over whatever questions you might have. Okay, so all of you must have received the worksheet in today's email, or I can't remember if it was yesterday's email that was sent in, but all of you should have the worksheet with you. If you printed it, that's fine. If you didn't have time to print it, you can have the electronic version. And I know that Jack is going to post the link in the chat for you to have it. So let's just get very personal with these, right? Let me go back into the personality side of things before we move into the worksheet. So have your worksheet ready. This is what we're going to be doing right now. But I want you to think about how your personality shifts your reality. Right? So all of us are, for an easy way to explain, we are a clump of energy that is comprised of a lot of beliefs that we grew up with in childhood, right? So our personality is formed pretty much from ages 0 to 7. Those are the ages in which we spend a lot of time in theta brainwaves. And I'm not going to go into the science of that because we could do a whole book on it. But those are the ages in which you are more impressionable, you are easier to influence, and those are the ages in which you are very dependent on your caregivers. So a lot of what we learn about money, finances, the relationship that we have with wealth consciousness was learned from looking at the people who were taking care of us. In my case, for example, I learned that you got to work hard for money. I learned that, I was talking about that when I was introducing myself. I learned that I couldn't ask for what I wanted, because I knew that the moment that I asked for a new toy or money for a school project or anything like that, that was going to create conflict between my parents, because there's not enough money. School is always asking for more money. We don't have it, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that I learned very early on is that I never got any of the gifts that I wanted. So if I, for example, asked for a Barbie for Christmas, I got a completely different doll every single time. So bless my parents' hearts. I know that they were doing their best. They probably couldn't afford the Barbie that I wanted, so they got the best next thing. But in my child's mind, I saw that as I never get what I want. And that's something that I had to work through very consistently to shift it and to actually learn that I am deserving of everything that my little heart desires. But you got to keep in mind that anything that you're perceiving with that child's mind is going to create a lasting impression in your subconscious. And ultimately, if you're not able to shift that, that is what's going to manifest in your life. So the way that we relate to money and abundance is always the emulation or the perception of the caregivers that we've had in our lives. So right now, I want you to think about your childhood, the people that you grew up with, whether it was your parents or an authority figure or priests. I grew up Catholic, so there was a lot of Catholicism involved in my upbringing. Your teachers, your aunts, your uncles, like everyone who had an impression of you from which you would have gotten your perception of money. And I want you to get the worksheet out, and I'm going to stop sharing right now. And we're going to be going over question 1 of the worksheet. Let me just switch here so I can actually see my worksheet. So I want you to take the next couple of minutes to think about how you feel about money. So think about the way that you relate to it. Think about the way that you feel about it. Think about what you learned from your family, authority figures, anyone who could have had an impression of you, an impression on money. Think about the emotions that you feel when you think about money. Does it stress you out? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel free and empowered? And that may vary in different situations. So it might be different when you're, thinking about money in your business and new clients. That might be a feeling of elation that it brings to you. But think about when you get an unexpected bill. How do you feel about that? Like you're happy, you're having a cocktail in your backyard, you're having the time of your life, and then someone knocks at your door and says, here's a bill for your car repairs of $10,000. How do you feel about paying that bill? So think about different situations in relationship to money, and take about 5 minutes to jot down your sentiments, your feelings, and your thoughts about money. All right. Would anyone like to share any of the insights that you came up with? Whether chat or you can unmute yourself and share with everyone.
One doesn't seem that positive. So this,
Anything that stands out, say?
yeah, well, money gives me, it stresses me out. And then it makes me think about like this phrase my grandmother used to always says, like when she pays her bills, like she always feels like she's robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I feel like it's like, you know, you're always taking money from this part and trying to put it into that part. until the next month. And then, you shift from that to this one. So that's what I said. I always like think I live on like a survival, and I'm trying to shift to be more thriving.
I hear you, and I completely identify with that. I think that's a big one that a lot of us had, and that's a big one from childhood. And it's funny that you brought up your grandmother, right? Because you always think of like how your parents or your caregivers act with money. For me, and honestly, guys, if I told you the ridiculous things that my parents do to this day, but both my parents are, my mom's 78, my dad is 80, the things that they do, like, if you call my parents after they live in Colombia, if you call my parents at 5, 6 p.m., they're in complete darkness because they don't turn the lights on so that they can save on power. The lights are only on if there's company, if someone's coming to visit. Other than that, the lights are off. There's actually one time that my mom hit her forehead with the door, and she's telling me the story. I'm like, how the fuck did you hit your forehead with the door? Like, I just couldn't picture it. She said, oh, well, the lights were off. It's just unreal, the things that the lengths that we would do to save that buck, right? So when you grow up in that environment, those are the things that you learn. Even if no one says, well, we're doing this to save money, you get the energetic vibe of what's happening, and that's what we as kids absorb, right? So I got a lot of that in my house. It's like the glasses where the jam came, like the marmalade or whatever you call it, they were all recycled. They were never thrown in the garbage. They were clean and they were used as drinking glasses just to save money. So many of those things, right? Christine, I see that your hand's up. Feel free to unmute yourself and share.
Do you want me to just read what I wrote? It's very
Sure, yeah, whatever works
raw.
for you. Go.
Money is to be saved. I can't save money. Always stressful. Living paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes I can't breathe. Panic attacks. I don't feel responsible. I'm scared. I try to learn but feel stuck. Spend all the money because you never have any to have fun with. Money is not there when you need it. So you're so stupid. Why can't you be more like my Oma and Opa? My parents wasted so much. Am I on a better path than them? Will I have enough money for food and shelter? If I had money, I would feel empowered, comfortable, not stressed about living. Live humble, spend what is necessary, and use the rest to make memories. Not have enough money makes me scared that I will die. My dog will die in an emergency situation. I'm scared to lose the respect of my family if my career dies.
Mhm.
And I am currently stressed and sick because I can't afford an AC unit. And
Mhm.
it's like a heat wave outside.
Mhm. I hear you. So when you think about those things, it actually goes back to the extreme of survival, right? It's not even about being able to afford a dinner out or go on a vacation. It comes to, I'm gonna die. So that survival brain, that survival instinct kicks in, and it's so strong that you're probably, and I mean, I'm not saying this about you personally, but a lot of people would actually get sick from the stress of thinking about it, right? So it's like a cycle that you're building yourself. The more that you think about it, the more that the prophecy fulfills itself and comes true. So I really encourage you to take notes during these 3 days, because I think that a lot of the practices that I'm going to be going over, including the homework for today. So what I want to leave you all with homework is to go look at the worksheet and complete what else you can think of. We just went over question 1, but we're going to go over Q2 in a couple of slides more. Take that in the privacy of your own home and go over it again, because you're going to get so much insight as to why you are where you are, depending on what you come up with. Rebecca.
Hi, Isabel.
Hello, Rebecca.
My thing is, I don't like having to ask, what are the prices? How much does that cost? How much does that cost? Looking at prices. I want to be able to not have to look at prices, and not that I can't get things I want. Maybe it's not right now, maybe it's in the future. So I want it now when I want it. So it's things like that. And then also, I don't, one of the questions in there was, do you allow, does money stress you out? I don't allow it to stress me out.
Mhm.
And it does make me feel empowered when I have it. And then also one of the things I wanted to point out is I can't control the people around me when they're stressed out about money. So that can be pretty stressful, that part of it. Not me stressing about money, but other people stressing about money when they don't have it.
Yeah, that I think that your environment, so the people and the conditions that you're surrounded with are the greatest challenge when you're changing your mentality about money, right? Because it's very easy for us to close our eyes, go into la la land and meditate and get into a completely different state. But you got to return to earth, right? You got to come back from that beautiful meditation where everything's happening now and everything's awesome and you can afford everything that you want. But then you got to go talk to your husband about groceries or school money or whatever the case. And then you have to deal with that, right? So that's what, and I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later today and tomorrow, being greater than your environment. And it's something that takes practice and it's not something that, you're going to get in 1 hour of recreating the process. It's just giving yourself that grace and being compassionate with yourself that is going to get you there. And that's something that I really encourage all of you to do. So this is something that I used to do when I started my spiritual journey and my wealth consciousness expansion. I used to be so mad at myself every time that I wasn't able to control, and I'm doing the air quotes, every time that I wasn't able to control my mind and control my emotions, and why can't I feel the way that I know I should feel so that I can attract more and blah, blah, blah. When in reality, all that you need to do is be compassionate, and the key word is accepting of where you are in this moment, because you cannot shift, you cannot change what you can't accept. And accepting doesn't mean that you're going to stay where you are. Accepting just means that you're not judging yourself for where you are, because where you are right now is the result of past conditioning that you probably had very little input in. Is it your creation? Absolutely it is. So you have to take radical responsibility for it, but radical responsibility with compassion. Not blaming, not judging, not condemning, not criticizing yourself for where you are, but just looking at that little child that learned all the shitty things that she learned and being able to hug her and embrace her and say, I am so sorry that there was nothing back in your past to teach you these things now, but now I'm here. Now I am the grown up. Now I am the parent, and we're going to walk this lane together. Because every time that you're judging or criticizing or getting mad at any thought, reaction, and all those things, all you're doing is resisting the change. Making peace with where you are is where the journey starts. Thank you so much for sharing, Rebecca. That just kind of hit me in my soul, because I can so relate to that, right? And I think that a lot of us in the call can relate to that, because we've been there, right? With that stress of like, we have to get out of our own way, but there are all these other people that seem to be in our way as well. But I promise you one thing, the more that you change and the more that you shift the way that you're thinking and viewing your own creation and your reality, the more that those people will change as well. That is a guarantee. It's just that it's not an immediate shift, just like, look at my husband, he is on board with everything that I want to do. But eventually they will either stop bugging you, or they will change in the direction that you want them to change. And that doesn't mean that it's manipulation or anything like that. That just means that everything is aligning to be cooperating with the direction that you want to take. So now, the one thing that I want to ask everyone is, who here, and I know a lot of you are on camera, a lot of you are camera off, but if you want to use your virtual hand up, how many of you want to have a thriving business that is full of clients on a consistent basis and the money flows all the time? Claudia, Dathan, Gilda, Ravin, Elizabeth. Okay. Awesome. Now, put your head down and look at the list that you just wrote about your relationship with money. And once you look at that list, you'll realize, oh my God, isn't this a contradiction, right? So you want all these beautiful, thriving, amazing, impactful, inspiring business, but you struggle with the idea of letting money in. You struggle with the idea of being deserving or worthy of money. You struggle with the idea of wanting everything now. You struggle with the people around you. So those are the signals that you're constantly emitting out there. If you think about who you are an entity that is 100% of the time emitting signals to the universe, emitting signals into the world. So the more clear that your signal is, the more that you're going to get what you want. But if you see these mixed signals that you're wanting, guess what you're going to get back? You're going to get mixed results, right? So think about a relationship. Let's just switch a little bit from money, but it's the same thing. You can just fill in the blank for money, relationships, health, whatever you want. But think about someone who wants to get in a very loving relationship, right? There's this amazing woman who wants this amazing man, and she wants this man to treat her like a queen, like a princess, like a goddess. She wants him to be loving and compassionate and someone who listens to her and all these things. But she believes that men are not good, that there aren't enough decent men in the world, that all good men are taken, that men cheat, that men are sneaky, that all of those things. So it's exactly the same thing. It's like she wants something that in her mind and the depth of her beliefs does not exist. So to some level, we're doing the same thing with our relationship with money, right? Do we want to win the lottery? Absolutely, yeah. Who doesn't want to win the lottery? But I'm scared that all my family members are going to come after me after I win the lottery. I'm scared that I'm not going to be able to take care of it. I'm scared that I'm going to lose it in 1 year. I'm scared that statistics say that every lottery winner out there filed for bankruptcy 2 years later. And so you're sending those mixed signals. So once you learn to identify what those signals are, it's going to be way easier for you to actually correct course. And this is an exercise of correcting course constantly. This is not an exercise of being perfect and meeting the perfect signal and not having to do any of these anymore for the rest of your life. It is all the opposite. It is, first of all, the accepting of where you are, the compassion for yourself for where you are, and going day by day thinking, how do I want to feel, think, and believe and behave about money, and correcting course towards that way. And we're going to fine tune all of those things in the next few days that we're together. But for now, I'm just going to leave it at that. This journey is about fine tuning your energy, because you are always leading with your energy. But if you don't know what that energy is, then you don't know what you're leading. You don't know where you're going, right? So today we're going to be talking about your relationship with money specifically. We're going to shift into leading with your energy tomorrow, which is going to be fascinating, and it's going to bring a lot of aha moments for you. So let me just start sharing my screen once more. There we go. Where was I? Okay, so as I was saying, you are always generating signals. But if your signals are mixed, you're going to get mixed results. So now, let's move on to the things that we were taught. So I specifically had this slide here, and not before you did the question 1 in the worksheet, because I didn't want to sway your ideas or your beliefs or the things that you came up with. I wanted to have it after so that we can all actually look at it and see where we are. So the shitty beliefs that we learned about money have a huge role in the way that it manifests in our lives. It is through these outdated beliefs that we see life, right? So it's like having a cloudy lens, having a dirty lens. You're not seeing things for what they are. You're seeing them through the perception that was passed on to you by the people who raised you. So if you had a challenging time, I've had workshops in the past where people had a kind of like a hard time figuring out what they were taught. They were actually there was a woman in the last workshop that she says that she couldn't think of anything that was passed down to her. And my response to that was, a lot of the times we don't hear these things out loud, right? We don't hear someone saying, well, you know, we live paycheck to paycheck, or there's not enough money. Sometimes you don't hear the words spoken out loud, but you sense that energy, right? So in my case, for example, no one ever told me that I couldn't have the things that I wanted. That was just a perception that I got because I never got the things that I wanted. I never got the toys for Christmas that I asked for. I never got the things that I wanted for my birthday. And I know that kind of like, if you hear anyone saying that, that sounds like a brat, spoiled little child, but that's how we learn. Those are the things that we're learning, right? You're asking for something very specific. I want strawberry ice cream, and someone hands you blueberry, and you're like, well, that's not what I wanted. And if you get that repeatedly, what you're going to learn is, I never get what I want. And that's the pattern that repeats in your life. So let's go down the list and see if you identify with any of those, right? So these are like the big ones. There's thousands more that can stem from any of the things that we witness as kids. But these are some of like the biggest ones that we hear on a daily basis, right? So money is a struggle. There isn't enough. Things are too expensive. A big one for me is I can't afford that. And to this day, I still hear the echo in my head when I see something that is a little bit more expensive that I'm willing to pay for. Oh, I can't afford that. And I feel that kind of like the stress in my stomach thinking, shit, I can't afford that. Being rich is not for people like us. You have to work hard for money. That's one of my favorites because it's just pure bullshit. You can never have enough money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil. How many of you identify with some of those? All right. Perfect. I'm just taking a look at the chat. A lot of them. Okay, say thank you. Just taking a moment to look at your comments in the chat, all the emojis, me. All right. Yeah, me too. And as I was saying at the beginning, this is the reason why I decided to do what I do, because there is more than enough. There is an infinite amount of wealth and abundance that is available to all of us. The only thing that we have to do is change our minds to allow that abundance into our lives. So with all of these in front of us, so the money is a struggle and the list down, just imagine if this is the lens through which you're looking at abundance in your life, do you think you're attracting it or repelling it? And this is an exercise in vulnerability because sometimes it's very hard to admit that we have so much shit in our heads, but it's true. So if these are the things that you're considering, if you look at your list, question 1, do you think you're repelling it or do you think that you're attracting it? And the interesting thing is that a lot of those beliefs go unnoticed, right? Because they're so ingrained in ourselves, they're so ingrained in our subconscious that we don't question them. And I'll give you an example. A lot of us are, for the last 2 or 3 months, maybe more, have heard a lot about gas prices, right? And I mean, I know that that goes to more aspects of life and the war that is happening right now and so many different factors that come into play. But gas prices, food prices, everything's going up, right? But if we see that, if we're going to gas up our car and we see the gas price in the board, we don't question our reaction to it. We immediately think, oh my God, gas is so expensive. And we have that visceral reaction of whatever that is, I can't afford it, or am I going to be able to gas out my car, or do I have enough gas to take me to where I'm going, or maybe I'm not going to drive that much, or I'm going to, whatever that is. We don't question those thoughts, right? The immediate thing that we're so used to doing is thinking about what we're seeing, making up our minds about what we're seeing and reacting about what we're seeing without question. And all of those things that I just said, so like the thinking, making up your mind and reacting happens like that. It doesn't happen in 2 or 3 minutes. It just happens in a split second, right? That you see the gas prices and oh my God, all those things just happen at once, but you don't question it. And what you're doing in those moments is you're reacting to a condition in the environment rather than deciding how you're going to feel and how you're going to react about that condition that you're observing. You see where I'm going with this? A lot of us do it automatically all day in, all day out. We don't think about the way that we're behaving to the circumstances that are in front of us, even though they are just that, circumstances that we're giving meaning to very unconsciously in a very, very asleep way. And the moment that we decide that that changes is the moment that we're going to start opening up to so much more. So having said that, I'm here to tell you that you have more power of influence over everything in your life than you give yourself credit for. It's just that we're so habituated to act, think, and react in a certain way that we just go with that. And then the final outcome is, I'm just going to stress about it because I don't know how to manage it. The right journey would be, let me learn how to manage it so that I can change it and love myself all the way there while I see the reflection showing me something different. Let me know if that makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me. And that's actually how I've changed my life, just looking at things through a completely different lens than what most people do. So that's an exercise that I go through with my clients, like how reactive are you to what's being shown to you? So the news, TV shows, social media, if you're reacting to those things without your own input and just assuming that it's a given because it's right in front of you and it's either awful or beautiful without really thinking if that's how you want to see it, then you're giving yourself out to the rest of the world and not having your own input and your own power exercise to change the way that your life goes. All right, so this is one of my favorite slides here. How you think, feel, and behave about money determines your relationship with it. And I want you to read that again. How you think, feel, and behave about money determines your relationship with it. And how you think, feel, and behave about it determines how it flows to you. So I love the analogy of money as a person. And that's why I talk a lot in terms of relationship, right? So how do you treat money? Rebecca had a very good example. You know, it's like you want to not feel stressed about it, but ultimately you feel stressed about other people's reactions, which in a way is you're reacting to money at a very specific way, right? So how do you feel when bills come? The example that I was giving you before is someone knocks at your door and says, hey, here's a $10,000 bill that you didn't know was coming. It's totally unexpected. How would you react? That's also just a circumstance, right? So how do you feel when unexpected expenses come? When you have to make money decisions, right? Something breaks in your house and you have to replace it. You have to replace your car. You have to buy your kids new clothes because they're growing too fast and you were not, you know, counting on those expenses. How do you respond to that? And the opposite would be a good exercise as well. How do you react or feel, think, or behave when someone gives you money? So if someone knocked at your door and said, here's $5 million, how would you feel? Most people would automatically say, oh, I would feel great about that. I'll take that money and run with it. But really think about it. I've had a lot of people say to me, I would feel guilty. I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't think that I deserve it. I wouldn't feel that I should have it. I'd be afraid to not know how to manage it. It's a real fear, right? So it's not only when you're spending the money or investing the money or taking it out of your pocket, it's also when it comes to you. How do you feel about that? Because a lot of us are very willing and able to take money in small drops, right? So, if I have a job and I got a raise, okay, that's just, you know, a few more dollars every paycheck. I'm fine with that. But if it's a big amount that drops in our lap, how do we feel about it? Do we feel equipped to hold that amount of money? Do we feel equipped to release that amount of money? So we live in an attraction-based universe, right? So everything is responding to our energy, whether you are aware of it or not. So there are all these rules that we've put in place for ourselves. And the rules that I'm talking about are the beliefs that we've just spoken about in question 1 of the worksheet, right? So those are the rules that we've accepted. Those are the rules that we've believed. And those are the rules that now you're questioning them for so many years of your life. They just went ruling technically your life, technically and literally ruling your life without your input. But as you accepted those rules, you can actually make up any of the rules. And they're only rules when you are able to accept them and you're able to embody them and you're able to live them. So we're going to go through that through a super cool exercise that I love. And it's going to be the other side of the coin, right? So just remember that whatever you're doing, you're always leading with your energy, and that can manifest in someone doing exactly the same thing that you're doing, but the results are different just because the energy behind the action is different. So I'll give you an example. Say that you're saving money for the future, or you're saving money for a vacation. No, let's just go with the future. You're saving money for the future, and you have another family member who is also saving money for the future, right? What's the energy behind it? So you, for example, might be fearful of the future. So that's why you're saving money, because you don't want to reach age 60 or 70 or whatever and have nothing in your bank account. Meanwhile, the other person is saving money because they want to save for a joyful life. They want to save for a happy retirement. They want to save because they're so certain that their life is going to be so full of adventure that they want to be prepared for that. So you know what I mean here? And that's exactly what happens in your business. You might be taking the exact same action as someone else, but the energy behind it is completely different. So always knowing where your energy is going to give you a huge insight as to how to shift it and how to pivot from it. So as you shift the way that you see money and start to perceive it as a neutral resource, not something that has any meaning, same as the circumstances that are around you, then you start to change the signal that you're emitting. And as you're able to sustain that signal, the way money shows up for you has to change as well. And that is a guarantee, my friends. Oh, I went too far. So awareness is everything. And I know that you've heard me say that already a few times, and I'm going to elaborate on it a little bit more. And I want to spend some time talking about why change can be so challenging, right? So you've made up your mind about money. You've decided that it's hard to come by, that you have to work hard for it, that it's never enough, whatever the case. And now you've decided, fuck that shit, don't want any of that. I'm going to shift my beliefs. I'm going to rewrite the rules. I'm going to believe something different. I'm going to change my life. And you start doing something completely different from what you've done in the past. And you start to actually feel better about it. And then boom, you go back to the old behaviors. Who can relate to that? You know, it's the same as, you know, New Year's resolutions. Oh, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to lose 20 pounds and I'm going to exercise every day and I'm going to eat healthy. And then 15th of January hits and you forget that you have a gym membership, or you get back to sleeping in and not going to the gym, or you go back to your old diet and don't follow through the commitment that you made. How many of you have been there? Yep. I see exactly. Yeah, I see some nods, some head nods. So let's talk about why changing habits is challenging. And I wanted to make this parenthesis here before we move into rewriting our rules, because when we understand what we're coming up against, it's going to prepare us for the challenges that are coming our way, and we're going to be better equipped to actually overcome those challenges, right? So number one reason why it can be challenging to change: the addictions of the body. So a couple of a few minutes ago, I talked about how your personality is created for the most part between the ages of 0 and 7, right? Those are the ages in which we spend most of our time in theta brainwaves, so we're very influential. We learn a lot at that age. We live in our imaginations and we absorb everything that is going on around us. Sometimes not with the best perception of it, but that's just the way that it works, right? So what happens is, and I'm just going to get a little scientific without going into a lot of detail because that's not the purpose of this workshop, but we can elaborate more tomorrow as well. There's a lot of communication that goes on between your body and your brain, more than you actually think. So your body communicates in ways of emotions, right? So when you feel joy, sadness, happiness, hate, frustration, whatever that is, you're feeling all of those emotions in your body. So that is the language of your body. The language of the brain, and I have it there as mind, just let's use them interchangeable for the sake of the exercise, even though they're not the same. Body, mind and brain speak in terms of thoughts, right? So there's a lot of communication that goes on between body / emotions and brain / mind. What happens is When you have any type of thought, reaction, feeling, emotion, your brain, from your body to your brain receives that signal and creates a chemical that is going to match the level of that emotion that your body is sending. So when you feel anger, that's all that is your body sending a signal to the brain, the brain going, got it, creates a chemical that is equal to the emotion of hate and washes your body from it. So every time that you feel hate, that's all it is your brain saying, you need this chemical, boom, let me give it to you. And it's just a way of survival, right? So it's the way for the brain to say, you got to react this way, you got to run from this, you got to hide from this, you got to da-da-da-da. All that's just the way the brain is protecting you. However, because it is chemicals, your body is highly addicted to these chemicals. And this is not bullshit that I'm making up. There's actually a ton of research behind these to understand the addiction that the body has to the chemicals that the brain is creating. So your brain is the most amazing pharmacy that there is. The problem is, if you are sending, or you, when I say you, I mean your body, if your body is sending these constant signals to the brain to create a specific chemical, you are literally addicted to your emotions, to the literal sense. And those addictions might be way more challenging to break than any addiction to any external drug, because they're happening automatically. You don't have to go to the corner to get your fix of the drug of choice. You just send a quick signal to your brain and it gets it. So that's why sometimes people say, but I can't control my anger, or I feel so sad. And depression is, that's all depression is. And I don't mean to minimize it or diminish anyone's depression, but your body is addicted to those chemicals that your brain is creating of sadness, of hopelessness, and all the things that come with depression. So that's why it might be so challenging, right? There's a point in which, if you're waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, one morning, you're going to hear that thought that seems kind of hidden somewhere that says, what's the point? I might as well stay in bed. Or if you're doing your meditation every day to change the chemistry in your body, at some point it says, your brain says, your mind says, I haven't seen any results. Why am I still doing that? And that's what we call self-sabotage, right? It's like you bring back to the old behavior because your body is asking for that chemical hit to say, no, I don't want this new shit that you're giving me. I don't want that. I want to get back to my frustration. I want to get back to my complaining. I want to get back to my anger. I want to get back to my hopelessness. Because that's what I'm used to. I need my hit. I need my hit of those chemicals. And I know that I'm kind of like caricaturizing this, but that's the way it happens. You're highly, highly addicted to the chemicals of your brain. And the addictions of the mind is the addiction to your thoughts, which is a lot easier to change instead of the addiction of the body, which is a hardcore drug addiction, but it's still an addiction. So those two go hand in hand. And that's the way that we self-sabotage our progress the most. It's like giving in to those chemicals of whatever it is that we're addicted to. And we all have different addictions. In my case, it's like I have a great addiction to criticizing. So I criticize myself in my head all the time. And then I have to stop and realize, oh, this is what I'm doing. I'm giving myself that fix of this thing that I need. So when it comes to money, it could be that attachment to the feelings of frustration that I don't have enough. I will never have enough. No one in my family has ever broken through the ceiling. No one in my family has ever been successful. So why bother? Why do I keep doing it? So once you hit that frustration, you go, oh, it feels like myself again. What was I doing trying to be better? This feels like I'm home. And you literally don't say those things, but it feels comfortable. It feels comforting because those are the feelings that you've been recreating your entire life. So it just feels more like, okay, this is me. Back to lack. Thank you, body, for giving my chemistry. Ooh, this beautiful addiction. Thank you for it. And that's one, those two are huge reasons why we're not able, or we self-sabotage our change. So what is required for true long-lasting change is breaking those addictions, which can be a challenge, but it is easier than we think. And there's only two things needed for that. The first one is awareness, and I'm not even counting that as the two, but the two are focus and consistency. Those are the two things that are going to start giving your body a different chemical cocktail so that you can continue in this journey without that self-sabotage. And feeding your RAS as a way of change. So your RAS, I don't know if any of you are familiar, it's your RAS, your reticular activation system. This is the part in your brain that gives you the view of that red car when you've been thinking about a red car, that gets the name, a name that you've been thinking of, and all of a sudden you see that name in social media or in a book or something, or your RAS is responsible for you seeing evidence of the things that you think about the most. So when you see horrible things in the news, when you see good news in the news, all the things that you're seeing are a result of your RAS influencing your subconscious mind and giving you evidence of what you're thinking. So the more that you feel your RAS, the things that you want to create in your life, the more that you're going to have that evidence of it. So if you're wanting to create more money, immerse yourself in books and evidence that what you want is actually possible, because all your mind needs to start infiltrating, is that a word? Yeah, infiltrating your subconscious is evidence that what you want is possible. And that's super important when you start a business, because most of us are going to get that voice that, but I don't know if I can do this, but I don't know if it's possible. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I should go back to a 9-to-5, maybe But once you start giving your brain evidence that what you want exists already, that someone has achieved it, that someone has it, that someone created it, you're going to give your mind another reason to start helping you with the new habit rather than self-sabotaging your efforts for what you're doing. Let me know if that makes sense, because to me, though, the understanding the chemistry of my body and the connection with my brain was key to shift my situation, because every time that I had a reaction, it was so much easier for me rather than, oh, why am I feeling this way again? It was, every time I had a light bulb moment thinking, oh, this was happening. I'm feeling my addiction. How do I change that right now? Oh my God, this is so interesting. I'm going to be my own science experiment. Let me see how I can shift this now. And it became a fun process rather than, look at me again, going down the rabbit hole. I can do this. I can change my situation. Meanwhile, the bills are piling, blah, blah, blah. But I was able to actually shift the situation just by recognizing what was going on inside of me rather than criticizing it. Let me open the chat really quickly. Okay, cool. Oh, there's a lot of fire, little emoticons. Reticular activation system, yes. Paola is clapping. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's go back to my PowerPoint, and now let's just go back to the worksheet. So now that you know that all that BS in your head is just dirty, dirty, dirty lenses through which you've been looking at your life for many, many, many years. And now that you know that those are just rules that you can change, and the way to change it is to be greater than that environment that is creating chemicals in your body and feeding your reticular activation system, let's get back to this exercise. So you now know that you're making up the rules of your life as you go, right? And everything that's happening in your life is a result of all those things that you've accepted as true. But now you have the power to change it. So the thing is, a lot of us have been doing that unconsciously or without a consistent effort to create the tipping of the scale, right? We think that we want more money. We know that we want more money, but we haven't had the consistency to practice something different until we tip the scale so that we can start seeing a different result. So we've been reacting to the environment around us, to the gas prices, to the news, to my body reacting a certain way, to my mind thinking a certain way. And all we need to do is change and break the cycle so that we don't continue to recreate the same thing that brought us where we are. So some of us see those changes in our reality, but a lot of us see those spotty changes, and that's when we lose consistency, right? The moment and we want immediate results, and the moment that we don't see our reality changing, we go, this thing's not working. It just works for somebody else and it doesn't work for me. Oh, I've tried this thing before and it just doesn't work. I've been through so many manifestation seminars and it just doesn't work for me. And we just what's the word that I'm looking for? recreate the cycle of self-sabotaging by just going back to the old rather than sticking with our focus and consistency and creating that change. So let's get the worksheet and let's just go to question number 2. And this is when you're going to have an opportunity to recreate your rules and rewrite your money story. So in question 1, you were able to identify a lot of current money rules that you've accepted. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. That you have accepted for yourself. And in question 2, you're going to have an opportunity. You're going to give yourself that chance to rewrite the rules to what you want. And this is when we get really, really deep into what we want to embody. When you start to see that you're the operating component and everything that you do has a huge influence from who you are, then you can design your relationship with money based on desire. So if you can decide what your relationship with money is, what would you create? And let me stop sharing here and go back to question 2 of the worksheet. So rewriting the rules and changing the story. If you had a chance to decide how your relationship with money is, what would you change? How would you treat money differently? How would money treat you differently? How would you feel? So go right ahead and take the next few minutes to go over those questions.
Thank you.
right, beautiful people. Just for the sakes of time, we're just going to cut it a little bit short, but I would love for you to take this exercise tonight and just complete whatever else you want to do. One of the things that I usually do to get me into more of my juices flowing is I actually imagine, and I think I mentioned it before, a relationship with a human being, right? So what do you want that perfect relationship with another human being, whether that's a lover or a partner or a relative? It's just, you want to feel appreciated, you want to feel loved, you want to feel heard, seen, you want to feel valued, you want to feel supported. You want to know that they're there for you in everything that you need from them, right? So you can equate that to the way that you want money to act with you and for you, right? Because money is just a resource. It's just going to respond to whatever it is that you're perceiving it to be. So if that helps, use the exercise of another person and just get into those juices, those creative juices. That I love that exercise so much because it just gets me into that, oh my goodness, how would it feel to be supported? How would it feel to be 100% supported, that every single one of my needs is met and exceeded, and I don't ever have to worry about any of them because I know that I'm loved and cared for. You know what I mean? So get into every detail that you want, and you're going to actually feel your energy shift the more that you do it. And once you feel your energy shift, you know now what kind of energy you have. And we're going to get into more of this tomorrow, but that's just like a little bit of a teaser to know what your energy is at any point in time. So let me just, actually, I don't have a lot more to share. Let me just share, just want to show you this quote just because I love it so much. Let me just share one more time really quickly. So I love this quote because it is so true and it really, really, really resonates with my soul. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It cannot be other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. So it is exactly what we're talking about here, right? You are the energy that you're embodying day in and day out. You are leading with your energy all day long, whether you're aware of it or not. Might as well get aware of what type of energy it is and shift it as you go. And that is how you start building an extraordinary life. I tell you guys, I was the person who came to Canada 22 years ago with $400 in my pocket. If I can change my situation to where I am right now, and it's not about bragging about money or what I have, it's about knowing that I am supported, that my needs are met, that I don't have to worry about it, that I can take care of my parents for whatever they need. It is that peace of mind. It is that freedom that I didn't have before. And every single thing that I'm teaching you during these 3 days is everything that I applied in my own life to change it and to become the person that I am today. So I really am looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Before we go, there are a couple of things that I want to touch. And one thing that I'm going to ask you is get ready to share your findings tomorrow. So from question 2, we already went through question 1. Question 2, be ready to share, whether it's in the chat or you can unmute yourself tomorrow and just share with everyone what those new rules are. How do you want this relationship with money to be? So what's in store for tomorrow? First of all, I wanted to talk about a gift that I've prepared for you that I'm going to be sharing on day 3. And this is just going to be my thank you for staying with me for 3 days and listening to me rant about all things creating and manifesting. So it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gift that I will be revealing on Thursday. That's day 3. Yeah, that's our last day. So on Thursday, I'm going to be talking about what that is. And it's something that is really close to my heart and something that I'm super excited to be sharing with all of you. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about your energetic signatures. So we're going to be deciphering whether you are creating momentum in the right way, or if you're creating momentum in something in the opposite direction, in something that is not conducive to your own growth and to your own goals. So I'm going to stop it right here and just going to stop sharing and ask really quickly if anyone has questions. And if not, I'm gonna let you go. But let me know. Let me just check the chat. I see that I have some unread messages. All right. Marianne said I keep getting kicked off. Oh, I'm so sorry. Would you be able to receive a copy? Of course, Marianne. You're going to be receiving the replay in tomorrow's email. I think tomorrow's email goes out at around noon Eastern time. I don't quote me on that, but you're going to be getting the replay for every single day. Every day you're going to be getting the replay of the day before and the last day. The day after the last day, so Friday, you're going to be getting the 3 links to each one of the days. And those are going to be posted for 7 days. And after that, we just take them down because then we're preparing for the next workshop. So Claudia, Sharma, Tracy, you're so very welcome. Rebecca, this is my ultimate pleasure to be talking about this stuff. So if there are no questions, I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.